Welcome to Week 1 Lecture Prezi. I guess the first question we want to ask as we become creative writers is, what exactly does a creative writer do? Writing is a process, a way of working with your intellect and feelings to make something people can learn from and enjoy. Creative writers work individually. They focus their time composing and shaping their ideas. They also work in groups, interacting with other writers and their work. They focus and learn to pay closer attention to the world and the human experience. They practice rendering with words those experiences in order to bring them to life in the reader's mind. They use writing and words to expand and extend who they are and what they can learn and know.
Keith Moon, the drummer of The Who, has this quote that I really love where he said, "I am the greatest Keith Moon style drummer in the world." And I really love that. I relate to it. Like, I feel like I kind of invented a way for myself to be on the radio. I think it's a good target to invent the thing that's going to be exactly right for you. There came a point in my 20s where I was just like, I want to do stories about everyday people who aren't in the news, just document everyday normal life. To be really honest, I didn't know anything about journalism. I didn't want to talk to famous people. That seemed terrifying. I had no interest in them. I didn't even know what it would be to be a reporter. I understood what it would be to talk to regular people. And it was really a puzzle to figure out, like, how do you do that in a way that it would be compelling and exciting to listen to? Coming up and you're trying to invent the person you're trying to be. You're trying to turn yourself into this person who you want to be. It's debilitating and you feel terrible so much at the time. And you really have to be a soldier. You really just have to get in there and fight and just make stuff. Just force yourself to make stuff. It's really hard to do. Often when I give speeches, I play stuff. Lately I've been going around playing a thing that's from my 8th year. And as I put it to the audience, in 8 years you can become a surgeon. You know what I mean? In 8 years you can learn another language and be fluent in it. You can learn anything in 8 years, and I'm still awful. It just took me so long, and I really wish somebody had told me that that's normal. I started This American Life in 1995, but I really viewed it as kind of as an indie film kind of thing. Some people like this. It's not going to be for everybody. And really, our business plan is that we can get on 60 radio stations in 2 years. That would be incredible. In our first year, we signed up 100 stations. Half of them were signing up to get the pledge material. They'd say, "Can we get the pledge material?" You have to take the show, and they put us on weird times. It was fine with me. I don't need them to take it because they like it. I don't need them to take it because we were making something new. I don't need them to see it the way I see it. I just need to get on the air. And I feel like the more idealistic and idiosyncratic your project is, I think the more cunning you have to be about the business side of it. And you really have to think about who are you selling to and what do you have to say and what do you have to do to give them something that they'll want. And I see no shame in that. I think that one of the most common things in the world is people who do really beautiful work and it doesn't find an audience. It took us 4 years to get to 1 million listeners per episode, whereas it took Serial, our first podcast, 4 weeks, and it took S-Town, our second podcast, 4 days. It's normal for it to be hard. It's hard for me. And I've been making these stories for years and years and years. I think a lot of us, when we start, we have a kind of a dutiful idea of what's important for us to do that can push us off of the thing that's going to be good and actually truly original and valuable. Be in it for your own pleasure. Notice what you're interested in. Follow that. Be out for your own fun. Be out for your own curiosity. That's the only way anything's going to be good.
Ira Glass had a lot of good points in that video, and I appreciate the lessons he learned in dealing with creativity. I believe we all have a story to tell, and I hope that you will have the chance to tell those stories in this class. But I really like the idea when he said it's going to be difficult. You're not going to be an amazing writer right away. It's going to take a lot of practice, a lot of work, and quite possibly a little bit of heartache. But I have faith that you will all become a stronger writer by the end of this class. All right. In keeping with what creative writers do, they ask a lot of questions. Like, what is interesting about human nature? Like Ira said, he wasn't interested in movie stars and pop icons. What he was interested in is real people. And if you ever listen to any of his podcasts, they were really amazing. And they were relatable because they were about the human experience and what it means to be human. And so that is a really great creative spark. Another question creative writers ask is, what is it like to be a particular human with a particular set of problems? Again, you want to make your work relatable to somebody in order to find that audience. And so you need to think about what you know about life and what you've observed with other people in your life. Another good question that they ask is, what does it feel like and look like to attempt to be good, do the right thing, make a mistake, or fail given a set of circumstances? So these are all good food for thought, but definitely will guide you in the writing process. Going back to the questions too, creative writing increases our ability to ask questions that are important to us, hard, interesting questions, and come up with answers that both please us and inform others in an original way. And so questioning is a huge part of that writing process and the creative process. So according to the text that I am basing these lectures on, there are 4 parts of creative writing. So there are 4 different things you can do with the time you devote to creative writing. And writing is the central part, but it is only one part. So write for yourself and others. Working writers often keep track of their thought process and growth in a journal. You will do this as well in your creative writer's notebook. The pieces you write in this course are designed not to express your actual experience, but to create an experience in the reader. You will also be required to read. We will learn to read closely to see how effects are created, what the choices are, and what can be done with words. We will read stories, poems, drama, and creative nonfiction by published writers in order to guide you and provide insight into the craft of creative writing. You will also work with other writers. Most writers have a writing community where authors support other authors by reading their work and talking about it, as well as reviewing pieces. The students in this course will become a writing community. Working with others leads you to the next level or the next part. Sharing. Testing your work out on an audience. Most creative writers focus on practice. Writing for oneself and others, working with writers, and reading take up 90% of their time, but then it's time to show off that you know how to write. I really like this quote by Stephen King, so I thought I'd throw it in the presentation. If you don't have time to read, you don't have time or the tools to write. Simple as that. So learning from authors will really enrich the writing experience for you. So I hope that you take the reading in this class seriously and learn from it. Along with what writers do, they work with tools. And those tools are images. Images are the living pictures, the movie in the reader's mind that your dream creates on the mental screen of the reader. Images are real. When you dream, you see things. The same with reading. When you are reading a great piece of writing, your imagination is activated. You can see and smell and hear and touch. Energy. Energy is the spark that makes a reader pay attention. Hemingway's taunt, terse sentences emit a lot of energy. John Grisham's plots are packed with movement. James Joyce's inventive prose style is infused with life. Screenplays and graphic novels crackle with crisp characters and tight plot points. Good creative writers pay attention to words that are energetic. Compound abstractions like ponderous sensation or evocative impediment absorb rather than reflect energy. Sentences and lines are energetic, and paragraphs and stanzas that are strung together so the reader feels momentum. Pleasing leaps, interesting gaps and pauses. Energy is rhythm, excitement, and interest. Tension. Tension is the underlying push-pull conflict, juxtaposition, or what will happen next in all good creative writing. The reader has to have something to wonder about, though you should remember that while mystery is good, confusion isn't. To create tension, you push energy in two different directions. Readers want to figure things out, to feel smart, but they also want to be intrigued. They don't want you, the writer, to show off, over-explain, perform, or have more fun than they are having. And then insight. Insight. We read to be entertained, but also to learn, to see the world from the perspective of others. One of the reasons we read is to learn, and one of the reasons we read creative writing is to learn in a pleasurable way. We don't want our creative writing to lecture us or sermonize, but we want our art forms to indicate wisdom, to outline insights, so that we can come to our own conclusions. And then we move on to revision. When we look at the word revision, we quickly see the word vision. Rewriting creative work is not a laborious, horrible process. It's actually simply going back to the first strategy, images, and looking, really looking more closely at what's being created for the reader in our mind's eye. Revision involves drawing, physically drawing or redrawing your scene or poem or essay. After you learn how simple and clear re-seeing truly is, revision is no longer a chore. It's the heartbeat of the writing process. So you have the tools for creative writing, and that ends our first lecture. So your assignment will follow. Good luck and thank you.